It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Grand Valley Associate Head Women's Lacrosse Coach, Coach Nora Boerger. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get into college coaching?
Yeah. So starting out, I was a multi-sport athlete in high school. I played 3 sports, dabbled in a little flag football. And just throughout my life, I've just always been involved with sports. So when it came to high school and kind of going on, it was like, yeah, sports has to continue. Like what else, for me, it was like kind of what else is there? You kind of have that identity as sport. And so luckily enough to get a scholarship to go play Division II basketball. Actually, I have a unique story that we can dive into. So from then it was like, take the scholarship and let's go. And it was 4 more years of now college sports.
What was that like, obviously getting a Division II basketball scholarship to play?
It was, obviously it's rewarding, it helps. Scholarships are a big deal for going to college, whether it's academic, athletics, or both. And just kind of having that offer of, basically an institution saying, hey, we'd love to have you on the team. We think you'd fit. Let's continue your athletic career. Come play for us, kind of thing. That's really cool. And I think, student athletes who are in high school who want to play at that next level, that's kind of like the icing on the cake when you have that opportunity to actually go and continue to play.
What was that like, obviously getting to play at Urban for the basketball team and the lacrosse team?
My time at Urbana University was rewarding in its own ways. It was an awesome place. I met a big time mentor when I was there, and is still a family friend now. But playing both sports, it was a challenge, as student athletes know, and you got to balance your sport and your academics, and then everything that comes with that. And then playing 2 sports on top of that, it was tough. But that experience was really unique and really rewarding. It gave me an awesome opportunity to just learn how I can push the boundaries of myself, how I can achieve as a basketball student athlete, as a women's lacrosse student athlete, and then obviously as a student. So it kind of gave me, like I said, that chance to just push, and how many things can I do? What all can I take on? And how can I just really stretch myself and push myself to achieve at a high level with just many different buckets to fill.
What was that like, obviously getting to put on the lacrosse jersey for Urban?
It was cool. Building. So when I joined the team as a sophomore in college. And that was the first year of the program we had just added. And so having the opportunity to help start a program is really rewarding in itself. Putting on, 3-sport athlete, but lacrosse wasn't one of them. And so playing a sport really for the first time at the college level, there's a little bit of nervousness, there's excitement, and just the opportunity to represent yourself, where you come from, your university, was a really cool experience.
How was that like, obviously, as you said, you never played lacrosse until you got into college. What was that like for you to learn lacrosse on the
Yeah, gosh, 3-sport, it was soccer, basketball, softball was my upbringing. So a lot of, sport, obviously different sports, different rules, different way to attack things. But for the most part, it's sport. We're very similar in different ways. So my basketball knowledge and background really kicked in the most. I think with lacrosse, you set a pick and rolls, you have motion offenses, defense, rebounding, boxing out, like all this stuff easily translates over. I will be honest, the stick, catching and throwing from softball, okay, cool, got that. But the whole cradling and the levels and all that stuff, that was unique. That was different. So if I spent the most amount of time doing anything, I think starting out, it was a lot of wall ball, just getting used to that stick and having levels and using 2 hands. I think that was probably initially that first real big challenge.
Was coming out of college, what was it like getting into coaching and coaching for the Switzerland national team?
Coming out of college, I studied exercise science, and being the athlete that I was and so heavily involved in everything that meant, whether it was sleep, nutrition, just how to care for myself. I love studying exercise science. And I thought at that time, coming up through, freshman, sophomore, junior year, I'm going to be a strength and conditioning coach or an exercise physiologist or kinesiologist or, something. But as I got more heavily involved in sport as I aged in college and helping kind of build the program, I just knew like I get the game. Like I understand what's going on here, and helping kind of teammates and coaches and everybody, and myself develop. It was like, I think I can coach this. I think I can. And that it was so fun. It was so fun to coach it. It was so fun to have an interest in something and being able to live it out. And maybe your ideas may work, maybe they don't, but just kind of navigating that area was it was so cool. I loved it. It gave me energy. So I thought, okay, well, I think we'll stick to this. Let's go into coaching and see what happens. And at that time, once I graduated, I have had the opportunity to be the coordinator of performance analysis at Ohio State. And that was such a rewarding experience all in itself. But then once I had that, it was like, okay, yeah, definitely I'm going to coach. Whatever I experienced there, what I learned there was just everything. And shout out to Alexis Venechanos, the former women's lacrosse coach at Ohio State, for giving me that opportunity.
What's that like, obviously getting the opportunity at Ohio State to be the coordinator?
It was cool. Growing up, I grew up just outside of Columbus, Ohio, it's definitely family and friends, big Buckeye fans, go Bucks. And it's a bit of a lifestyle. So being able to be a fan of such an institution and then being invited to join the staff, it was so cool. It's like the kid in the candy store, so to speak. So having that experience of playing, Division II lacrosse, I didn't have that extended lacrosse background, and then having that experience and then going to Ohio State, which, is big D1, Big Ten, very successful. It was eye-opening in a lot of ways. And I knew I was going to learn a ton. And that was the goal. Anything in life that you do, hopefully you're learning something from it. And Urban Meyer used to say, take nuggets from stuff, take nuggets and try to implement those nuggets. So for me, that's exactly what I tried to do is, how can I learn from this staff? How can I learn from this institution to just develop myself, to learn the game at a different level, and then take those nuggets and implement them into my coaching career? But, going to play, Stanford and San Francisco and going to the big house at Michigan. And, we had historic wins in the shoe, and we went to the Big Ten tournament, and, we were able to upset Maryland. It was like their first loss in 2 years, and we advanced to the Big Ten championship game. And like just being a part of all those amazing things, which is so great for me and my development, and I loved every minute of it.
What was it like, obviously, getting into college coaching and coming from a Division II level and getting your start in the Division I level?
Yeah, it was challenging in different ways. It's a different speed. It's a different, any staff you work with at any institution at any level, it's going to be different. People just tend to manage and do things differently. So going from the level I went to Ohio State, you saw the speed of things, how quickly we do things, how much time it takes to do the things that we do. It was definitely a commitment. So there was a learning curve my first 6 months, maybe 12 months, to be honest. But you get used to it. If you're committed to something, if you love what you do, you get those wheels turning right away, and it becomes a commitment to your craft. And, once you get used to it, it's like, okay, yeah, now we're kind of smooth sailing. And I kind of started to learn rather quickly what it was to expect.
What's it like, obviously, being a part of the Switzerland women's national lacrosse team as the associate head coach?
Yeah, going in as the associate head coach, I had worked with a boss previously who became the head coach and called me up and said, hey, working with the Swiss national team, would you like to join? I was like, yeah, absolutely, sign me up. Like, how cool is that? I was like, but what does this mean? You know what I mean? It's just, we know international lacrosse exists, right? But what, world championships, European championships, it's kind of like their big playoffs. That's like their NCAA tournaments, if you will, if you're thinking about the American system. But so cool, such an incredibly rich experience. Our women for our team, they work in finance, they work in engineering, education. Some of them are students still, they're moms. Like, for them to dedicate themselves to the beautiful game of lacrosse at the level that they do, knowing they have these full-time jobs, they might be moms, they might be, have other things going on, and they give it their all. They show up, they want to learn, they want to achieve at a high level. It was just so cool. And being able to travel internationally, when I started doing that in 2018, that's the first time. I mean, we took family vacation to the Bahamas, we did that when I was younger, but never the extent of traveling that I do now on the international level. So traveling to Switzerland back and forth, sightseeing, I went to Paris when I was over there at one time. It's so cool. And in 2019, we had the European Championship in Israel, and we were there. We went to Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. And again, like, competing is awesome, but everything that comes with competing at that level is just such a great experience. And actually, tomorrow I leave for Towson in Maryland we're going to play in the World Championship. So a bunch of different countries are traveling in, and we're going to have a World Championship. So another really cool opportunity for them. Some of those players have never been to the U.S. So for them to come here to play and compete at a high level in the hotbed, arguably in the United States for lacrosse, is just going to be an incredible experience for them. And it's been rewarding. I could talk forever about it, but it's been such a rewarding, cool experience. And I'm very fortunate and humbled to have this opportunity to help lead this program.
What was that feeling like, getting promoted from head coach for the Switzerland national team after your time as the associate head coach?
It was cool. I was surprised by it. I was approached by our team manager at the time and another assistant coach who's a local coach. So obviously I'm stationed here in the States, but we have local coaches on the grounds in Switzerland. And they approached me and said, hey, how would you feel if we made you head coach and you bumped up? Would you be interested? Is this something? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, do you say no to things like that? I don't know. But I was very surprised. And I again, that humbling feeling of just having people trust in you and feel that you have the things that they're looking for in a coach to help coach their program and to help lead their country and to build and to develop in such a way that they want to build and develop. So just having people believe in you and ask you, hey, how does it sound to you? It's really rewarding that they felt that I was someone who was good enough to do so.
Of course, how has it been like balancing being a college coach and also being a professional Switzerland national head coach?
There's times where it gets time consuming. Like now, like I said earlier, we're preparing for the World Championship. So preparing for a tournament summer, there's just so many moving pieces. Obviously, we have all of our training and everything that goes into that, but then you have the tournament itself and the paperwork and the development and you have tryouts and picking your teams. And unfortunately with COVID, COVID testing. And so it's a lot of moving pieces, but it's good. The good news is back in college, when I told you I was a two-sport athlete, again, I learned how to stretch myself and I learned how I can manage certain things. And maybe some days are better than others, but you kind of learn how to do things. And I have to have an agenda. I have to make lists, because if I don't, oh boy, there's things that I might forget. But it's been cool. I've been able to implement into that program what I've learned being a college coach to help kind of just grow the game there and to do different things and have different ideas. But at the same time, being the head coach of the national team has helped me come back into my college role of having those responsibilities and now being the associate head coach here at Grand Valley. It's been an experience that's allowed me to just push beyond being more than just an assistant, taking on a few more responsibilities, kind of helping see the bigger picture. So both have kind of intermixed each other and has definitely helped me develop as a person and as a coach.
Of course, how is it like coming to North Carolina to get to coach at Lenoir-Rhyne as the assistant coach?
It's, whenever you get a phone call from somebody that's like, hey, do you want to come coach with me and be a part of my staff? It's awesome. And it's what happened with North Carolina. Shout out to Carly Buck. We had built a relationship when I was at the University of Findlay, just through camps and clinics and such, and kind of kept in touch with each other. And she took over LR as a first-time head coach and invited me to join her staff. So I went down. And North Carolina, as you know, Brandon, is beautiful. We got the mountains and beaches in the same state. Being in Hickory, I don't know if you've been to Hickory, but you should totally check it out. It's a cute town. Asheville's right there. Asheville's really cool. Charlotte's not too far. So where we were was really awesome. It's a little hot, but it's good. I remember we had a snowfall my first or second year there, and it snowed maybe 6 inches, and it was just a full-fledged panic. Nobody knew what to do. School was closed for like a week. It was funny, being in the Midwest, 6 inches of snow. Yeah, so what? We're driving like 3 feet of snow, but no, but all jokes aside, it was such a cool time being at Lenoir-Rhyne and being a Bear. And, we were successful there the 2 years I was there. And again, at stretching, I took on a lot. I was a SAC advisor. I was a Chi Alpha Sigma advisor. I got a master's degree. We won a championship. So busy, but loved it. North Carolina, beautiful state. And all my people at LR, it was a really cool experience and met a lot of new friends and friends that I still have and relationships with now.
Of course, what was that feeling like winning that national championship at Lenoir-Rhyne?
Well, it was the SAC, our conference championship. And whenever you can help a program just develop and get better and win a championship for the first time in its history, it's so cool. And it takes everybody. It takes us all to buy in, our staff, taking over a program. Okay, what are our thoughts? What are our ideas? How do we implement this? what's the goal? And then getting the athletes that you inherit. Hey guys, here's where we see it. Here's how we're going to change things and plan and progress essentially. So it's cool. And to see the smile on the student athlete, at the end of the day, it's all about student athletes, right? You bust your tail to give them the best experience they can have. And to have those players go and win rings for the first time and this for the first time, and to beat that top team in the conference for the first time, and just seeing the smiles on their faces and the joy they had. I mean, that's really what it's all about. So a really awesome opportunity to be able to help LR do that.
Of course, what was it like for you to go from North Carolina back to the Michigan area to Grand Valley State?
Yeah, growing up in the Midwest, I was familiar with Grand Valley. Fun fact, I actually competed against Grand Valley when I was in college, so I knew what was here, and I knew kind of like resources, facilities, what was going on at Grand Valley, and just having the opportunity to come up and just use what we have here to help us excel. So, the best way I can put it, I think, is my boss and I, Mackenzie Lawler, taking over. We're like, well, the goal is to win a national championship, and do you want to come join my staff and help with that? And I'm like, absolutely. You know what I mean? And we felt like we have things here to do that. But Grand Valley, with just the resources we have, the facilities we have, we get a great athletic department, a great staff, the support staff, just rock star of people, and everybody's so on board here in the athletic department of helping each other excel. What is it we need? What is it we want? And how can we kind of come together and do this? And our athletic director, Carrie Becker, she's a rock star of a woman, helping get things done, a mover and a shaker. So it's been very rewarding coming here and helping take our program to what it was to what it is now.
Of course, as a coach, and you said that you played against Grand Valley, what was that like now getting to coach for Grand Valley after your playing time?
It's awesome. My goal as an individual, as a coach, is to win a national championship, which means there is a level of excellence you have to have, and the standard's the standard. And to get to that level, there's certain things you need. And, I came here when I was at the University of Findlay. We were able to move that program to compete for a championship for the first time in its program. And you know who the championship game was? It was against Grand Valley State. It was us, the University of Findlay Oilers, shout out to my Oilers, and Grand Valley State. And, we lost that game, but it was here and it was on their field. And I thought to myself, man, I'm going to be at this level one day. Like I felt it, like I just knew it. And then after that season, I went to North Carolina 2 years, and then Matt called me to come here. And then now here I am. So it's just kind of having that manifestation and living it out and knowing what you want as a coach and just busting your tail until you get it. So now that I'm here, it's awesome. And now the goal is, keep that standard of excellence and keep raising the bar.
How did it feel after 2 years getting to come back and get to coach on the Grand Valley State film?
It's, like I said, being able to just manifest things and bring them to fruition. There's so much power in that. And I want to say it takes a lot of hard work. When you play lacrosse for 3 years, there's a lot of questions like, you know what you're doing? You know what I mean? Or maybe rightfully so, but I felt like for me, I took a very non-traditional route to be a coach, to get to where I am. And so just to be here and to be back at this level, it's humbling for me. It's rewarding. And that stretching that I was talking about earlier, that I keep talking about, if you can get yourself to just move beyond barriers and to push yourself to excel, and once you get that fruit, it's like, and now it just gives that energy to keep going, right? And you don't get tired. Now it's like, oh, cool, now what's next? I did this, now what's next? And it just, for me at least, it re-energizes me to keep going.
Of course, what are some of the things that you've accomplished so far at Grand Valley State?
We've done a lot of cool things. We've had some program firsts. We this past season we won our first NCAA game, which is fantastic. We've set broken school records, set certain records. We've had numerous All-Americans, numerous all-regional selections, conference positional players of the year. So, it's just a lot of hard work, a lot of pushing, but in the 3 seasons that we've had being here and what we've been able to do in that time has been really cool.
Of course, who are some of the teams that you faced in your conference for Grand Valley State?
Our conference is not what it was when we first got here. There's been some shifting around, but we have Davenport, who's our crosstown rival, they call it, in Grand Rapids. There's Concordia St. Paul in Minnesota, Upper Iowa in Iowa, and Northern Michigan University up in the beautiful UP of Michigan.
Of course, what is it like getting to play some of those teams that are uptown to you?
Some of the teams that are uptown, you mean like Davenport being across the way?
Mm-hmm.
It's cool, it's like the battle for Grand Rapids, kind of. We're technically in Allendale, they're in Grand Rapids, but it was sport. You love the competition, and I love to compete. And you got a neighboring school who's a Division II school as well in your conference. It's like, yeah, cool, let's go at it, and may the best one win.
Of course, how has obviously your time as a head coach on the national level helped you to where you are at Grand Valley?
That's a great question. I believe I was the head coach for them before I was promoted to associate head coach here. And again, like I said earlier, how they kind of intermix with each other, being the international coach and being a college coach. I think that experience of being a head coach for the Swiss women's national team has helped me be a better assistant. Again, it's kind of helped me see that bigger picture and aiding our head coach to just like, what is it we need? What can we do? How can I help, kind of thing. So I think that experience of just kind of knowing some of those administrative duties that change usually between assistant and head coach, and seeing that for the first time in my coaching career, and then being able to take those experiences and implement them here.
You talked about, of course, the culture that you've helped build for Grand Valley.
Yeah. Culture development's huge, right? What do we do? What is Laker lacrosse? And you need to have an answer to that. And for us, it's like, yeah, okay, we want to compete for a national championship, but what does that mean? And how do we do that? And, you kind of get that debate of culture versus talent. What comes first? What do you spend the most amount of time on? And I'm not going to argue at all how important talent is. You need a certain level of talent to reach your goal. So absolutely, we work really hard recruiting. But on the other side, when these athletes come in, now what? Are they going to love each other? Are they going to get along? Are they going to do what we ask them to do? And so for us, the culture development piece has been just as important as it is bringing in the talent that we feel we need to achieve our goals. We spend a lot of time. We have a non-negotiables that we live by. There's 5 non-negotiables our team has, and it's like, hey, we got to live by these, and we also have pillars, our program's pillars. And that's another thing that we have to live by. And we spend a lot of time talking about these 2 things, developing these 2 things, trying to plant the seed and then water the seed. We spend team time about 2 days a week, just trying to develop leadership and culture and team bonding and relationships. So just as much time as we spend on player development and recruiting and everything else, we're spending a lot of time as well on our culture.
Of course, what does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play college lacrosse?
Man, it depends a lot. I would like to say to any prospective student athletes, there's a school out there for everybody. Whether it's Division 1, 2, or 3, there's a school out there for everybody. So, don't be discouraged. You'll find your home, but it just kind of depends program by program. What are certain programs looking for? If it's defense, like, okay, what do I want my defensive players to look like? What do I want them to do? If it's midfield or attack. So everybody has those little things that they're looking for, trying to check boxes. But get out, play, reach out to coaches, email them, go to their camps. I think these are things that I would definitely encourage student athletes to do when they're in that recruiting process.
Of course, as a college coach, what are some of the things that you look at in those prospective student athletes when on the road?
Every class that graduates, you bring a new class in. And when you think about what are we losing as far as, talent and who they are and areas on the field, then you got to go look for those areas that, okay, for example, we're missing a crease dodger. Okay, well, now we got to go find a crease dodger. So it really depends year to year on what it is you're graduating and moving on from, and what it is you want to bring in. So I guess for us, it's what are those things, and under those things, here's what we're looking for. If it's a crease dodger, okay, we want them to have this, and now let's try to go find it. So it varies really by position and by year.
Of course, what does a typical official visit look like for those prospective student athletes?
An official visit for us, with different rules and stuff, with official visits, we can help, do some things to get athletes on campus, which is always, cool and exciting for them when they come visit. But it's a campus tour. It's meeting our staff. It's meeting our team, checking out. We have a downtown campus as well. So this is our main campus. We have a downtown campus in Grand Rapids, checking that out, having dinner downtown. We really want student athletes who want to be Lakers, who are excited about Grand Valley, who want to be a part of Grand Valley. So for us, let's show you everything and put all of our cards on the table. And then you decide, is this a place you feel like you'll be happy and you can excel and achieve? And if it's not, that's okay. We want you, we care about you as a person. We want you to find the place that you feel like that is. So we go all in when students come to visit.
What advice would you give those prospective student athletes looking to play college lacrosse?
Reach out to the schools, reach out, get on their campus, go visit them, meet with the coaches. They might sound like one thing on the phone and something else in person, either way. I'm not saying that's always bad, good or bad, but you got to go see it. Sometimes when you step onto a campus, you get that feeling of like, oh yeah, this is home. Like I definitely can see myself here. And sometimes you don't, but you really don't know until you have those experiences. So I definitely encourage anybody who's looking to play college lacrosse, like go to the campus, visit the staff, go to the camps, meet the team. Are these people you like? Are these people you think you can get along with? So kind of immersing yourself as much as you can.
What advice would you give those college lacrosse players looking to play either on the national level for a national team or even for the U.S. national?
I think the national team is different for different countries. If I can speak to the experience of Switzerland, we only take 3 non-passport holders. So if you're a Swiss American, you're one of 3. And for us, we have players in Switzerland now who, there's someone on a team. We've got, for our non-3 passport holders now, we have someone from Turkey and 2 from Germany. So we can't even take anybody else anymore. And with Switzerland, they pride themselves in being a homegrown team. They want their national teams to be made up from players who are in Switzerland, who are giving back to the game in Switzerland, who are playing in the Swiss league. So, I think for anybody looking to play for a national team, they need to do a little bit of research, reach out to the staff, reach out to team managers, find out if it's something that they can do, if they're allowed to do per what the country is looking for. And if it is, great, traveling, got to have a passport, but it's a cool experience. So if anybody is interested in doing that, I would encourage them to reach out to those staffs.
What advice would you give future college coaches looking to get started in coaching at college lacrosse?
I think the advice would be doing your best to understand what it takes. Like I said, there's a level for everybody. And with those, different levels, what are you looking to do? Do you want to compete at a high level? Do you, what is it you want? And understanding the time that it takes to do that. For us, we want to compete at a high level. So there's a certain amount of dedication and time that we need to do that. So college coaching is awesome. Being able to impact women's lives so that they can graduate and go on to be positive, contributing members of society is so cool. And what we can do as college coaches, the power that we have to just help mold, help develop, be role models. I love it. I'm all about it. I'm in for it. But it's tough. It's tough, especially going through the pandemic when sports stopped and it's like, well, now what are we doing? And, and gosh, people got laid off and a lot of things changed for a lot of people. So there's definitely some things that make it hard. But on the other side, if you can navigate through the dedication and the commitment, it's a really cool experience. So if you're thinking about it, do some research, understand what it takes, but if you're cool with it, dive in because it's a very rewarding profession.
What advice would you give college coaches looking to go from being college coaches to being on the national team such as you have?
I got lucky. I'm going to be honest. I got lucky. I had someone I previously worked for got hired and called and hired me. And then when I went in there, they asked, hey, do you want to stick around? So I got lucky. But I think, networking is such a huge piece to anybody moving on in any profession. Sometimes it's your experiences and your resume. Yeah, it's cool. It helps. What have you been a part of? But sometimes it just takes knowing people. So for any college coach who wants to get in with a national team, do you know someone who coaches a national team? Can you ask them for advice? Maybe they have a place on their staff. Maybe you can start out being a volunteer and then working yourself up to maybe more of that kind of full-time assistant coach type of role. But networking, reach out to people. I think lacrosse community is great. I have not come across a coach yet who's not willing to help out, to give advice, to just help point people in a direction. So reach out, communicate, do what you can. And I think coaches can find themselves in a place they want to be.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Grand Valley State Lacrosse Program app?
Yeah, we're on Instagram and Twitter, GVSU WLAX. Anchor up your Lakers. That is not a part of it. That's just me saying it. But yeah, GVSU WLAX.
Thank you again, Coach Nora Boerger, for your interview and best luck in your future as the Associate Head Coach for the women's lacrosse team at Grand Valley State.
Brandon, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for reaching out. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Nora, for your interview and best of luck in your future.
Thank you, Brandon. You too.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.